make sense of the disease. What it is, above all else, is a disease of cognitive abnormalities, of abnormal sequential thought. And the term that's given for it is loose associations. All of us can tell a story where we have a pretty good ability to put it sequentially and have the facts go in a way where it will make sense to any other listener. You do not see this in schizophrenics. Sequential thinking is greatly impaired. And instead of having logical sequences of information that they give, things tangent all over the place, bouncing around all over, where in retrospect, you can kind of see how they might have gotten from A to Z, although most people would have gone from A to B at that point. The tangential thinking being another term for it, the loose associations. So what do you wind up seeing there? You get schizophrenics, for example, who get terribly confused in a sentence, whether when they are hearing about boxers, they are unable to keep straight within one sentence to separate out whether they're talking about a dog or they're talking about an occupation, because they slip back and forth between the two. Confusion between being a caddy, someone who golf, whatever, and a Cadillac, short term for that. All sorts of ways in which they can't hold on to the sequential logic, and instead there's just this tangenting, getting caught up in the loose associations. You're talking about a boxer. If you're schizophrenic, you're talking about a particular boxer, you follow that sport, whatever, and suddenly you're expressing an opinion about how that person would do in a ring against a St. Bernard. And you're often talking about dogs from there, just getting caught by a loose association between the sound of the word and its multiple meanings, going off the tracks on that. So the loose associations. Next, you have a consistent one with abstraction. All of us have a pretty good intuitive sense when someone is telling us a story. Is this meant to be literal reporting of events in a sequential way? Is this meant to be a parable? Is this meant to be a somewhat second-hand through the grapevine story? We have a very good sense of how concrete or how abstract the information that we're getting is. Schizophrenics are terrible at that. They have no intuition to get the right level of abstraction. And schizophrenics always skew in the same direction, which is to interpret things far more concretely than is actually the case. And that's the term that's used in the business, concreteness of thought, which is having a lot of trouble doing the more abstract process of seeing things on a metaphorical level, things of that sort. So here's a standard sort of test you would give to someone if you think they're schizophrenic. You give them an association task, and you say something like, okay, can you tell me what do these things have in common? An apple, an orange, and a banana. And they'll say, all of them are multisyllabic words. You'll say, okay, well, that's great, that's true, but anything else they have in common? Yep, all of them have letters that involved closed loops. Just getting caught up in the most concrete possible level of interpretations of it, not able to step back and do any sort of abstracting. You see this in all sorts of other ways. Therapist will meet the patient and say something like, so what's on your mind today? And they'll say, my hair, in this very literal sort of way. Or you'll say, can I take your picture, holding a camera? And they'll say, I don't have a picture to give you. This very literal sense again. Or things like, you would sit down as schizophrenic with a piece of paper and a pen and say, just as part of what we're doing here, can you write a sentence for me? Any sentence. And then you look at what they've written, which is a sentence for me, any sentence. And then you say, no, actually, that's not what I mean. I mean, can you come up with a sentence, and when you've thought of that sentence, write it. And they'll write the word it, because they can't get out of the concreteness of saying, could you write a sentence? Can you write, a sentence? They're caught up in the concrete level of that. A way that always pops up, one of the classic types of tests that's done is called proverb tests. Proverbs, by definition, they are metaphorical, they are parables, they are abstract, and we all know intuitively that when you're talking about birds of a feather flock together, you're doing something sort of symbolic about the well-known homogamy of lips, width, and people and who they choose to marry and the similarities. Yes, birds of a feather flock together, it's talking about like tend to assort with like. Give Proverbs to schizophrenics and they can't get out of the most concrete level of interpretation of it. So you sit them down and you say, okay, tell me what this means. A rolling stone gathers no moss. And we all know that people are on the move, don't make emotional connections, there's a detachment, whatever. And they're often saying, stones rolling down hills, it's very hard for plants to grow on them. It's very hard because the surface tends to be smooth, and then on top of it, if it's rolling, you got like this angular motion that will trip. So it's very hard for moss to grow on stones. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen that happen, and I've seen many stones, and on the most concrete possible level, incapable of pulling it back to the level of abstraction. Consistent feature of this. Here, a friend of mine who's a psychiatrist came up with what has to be one of the all-time great proverb tests for figuring out if someone has the remotest tendency towards schizophrenic concreteness. There was an abstract phrase, sort of proverb, that was very popular, that was very prevalent in the United States during World War II. It was up on posters in all the post offices, places like that, and it was a way of abstractly telling people, be careful the information you put in letters that you were sending off to loved ones who were off at war, because it may inadvertently wind up in the wrong hands and could carry information that could be extremely damaging to the war effort. Okay, do people know what it is? Loose lips sink ships. Loose lips sink ships, wonderfully abstract notion. Try sitting down a schizophrenic and saying, what does it mean when you say loose lips sink ships? And suddenly there's this imagery of ships being capsized by big lips coming out of the water and things of that sort, because it can only be dealt with on the very concrete level. What else? More symptomatology. Delusions, belief in things that cannot be, belief in having participated in historical events that cannot be. You're sitting there interviewing a schizophrenic and they suddenly say, have you heard of the Great Wall of China? And you will say, well, yes, in fact, I have. And they'll say, my idea.
Now that you had your falling out with Cyrus yesterday, does that mean I get to move up on the list of 10 black people you like?
I didn't. Cyrus was never on the list. Never on the list.
Never mind. That sucks.
But I'll move you up a notch just so. I'll move you up just so you take my side and never pick Cyrus over me. I'll move you up to number 3 so that you never pick Cyrus over me. Yeah, I know.
Number 3.
Yeah, so you're number 3 now, but you can never pick Cyrus. You have to always be faithful to me, not Cyrus. I love you. You cannot say Cyrus is black, you relate to him. You relate to me.
That were above me when I was at number 4.
Pastor Christine, she's number 4 now. Yeah.
Who?
Pastor Christine, my bishop's wife is also a pastor, and she's a preacher. It was one of my preachers. One of my long-term preachers was number 3. Mm-hmm. And she's number 4 now. You're number 3. I love you. You have to pick me. You have to pick me over Cyrus. You cannot say you relate to Cyrus more than me. You relate to me more than Cyrus. We have more in common than Cyrus.
You guys, I'm be real.
At this point, you should be jumping out of your chair because of something really disturbing about this collection of symptoms. Okay, so what is schizophrenia? It's a disease of thinking abnormally. This is a disease of thinking differently from everyone else. This is a disease of thinking in a way that everyone else thinks isn't right, and suddenly we are skating on thin ice of this transitioning from a world of neuropsychiatric disorders and medicine into a world of all sorts of hidden agendas of abuse. And psychiatry has been hand in hand in bed with all sorts of ideologues over the decades, over the years, in willing to hand out diagnoses of schizophrenia to political dissidents to people you want to get rid of. And this is a totally loaded diagnosis when, most fundamentally, this is a disease of everybody else thinks you're not thinking normally. Because some of the time that describes a florid psychiatric disease that destroys your life, and some of the time it describes people who are just a pain in the ass, and some of the time it describes people who are going to transform the world by thinking differently. How can you possibly approach this disease in an objective way rather than it having just shot through with ideology? And one of the ways in which this can happen, one of the ways where you get some grounding in it, is to look at what the disease appears like in other cultures, because you begin to see the commonalities, and this begins to impress you with the notion that there is, in fact, a core set of dysfunctions to the disease.
If I have autism, that means my parents did not know well enough to recognize that I had autism.
Yo, fuck that little fag. Yeah, he recorded.
Don't fuck the fag. Don't fuck the fag. Don't fuck the little fag.
So much about this schizophrenia thing.
Tyler's here. We're going to do a second one for Tyler.
From 60s, when all sorts of laudable things happened along certain cultural lines, there amid that was one horrifically damaging, idiotic thing that emerged in psychiatry at the time, which was a sort of, minority view in psychiatry, a lunatic fringe view that basically schizophrenia is not so bad. Schizophrenia has all sorts of hidden blessings. And soon it had frameworks of things like schizophrenia is the disease of being healthy in a crazy world. Schizophrenia is the disease of having insights into life that other people can't. And psychiatrists at the time, one of them, a man named Ronald Lang, who became famous for this, for arguing it's not a disease, we shouldn't be medicating, we shouldn't be hospitalizing, it's a bunch of blessings. And it is even continued to this day. The quote that I put on the top of the handout, Andrew Weil, who's one of the gurus of sort of complementary medicine, and as you'll see, an absolutely ridiculous statement there along the lines of the hidden blessings of schizophrenia. There were movies at that time. King of Hearts was one, very popular one, about somebody having to hide from the police or who knows what in the asylum, and eventually releasing the schizophrenics who were so much saner than the other people around, and heartwarming. And all you need to do is be schizophrenic or know someone who is or have a family member, and you will see there are no hidden blessings. This is not a disease of hidden compensations and more insight into the world. This is one of the most horrific ways that biology can go wrong, and one of the best demonstrations of it is half of schizophrenics attempt suicide.
So you can take it to the doctor.
This is episode 2, the remake.
Yeah, he tried. This motherfucking idiot went to the doctor today. He tried to have the doctor talk to me.
No, I didn't. I was thinking about how it would go. I was gonna say,
I told you.
He's
He's not right.
I was gonna find a way to be like, can we talk to my friends? Can we talk to my friends and they can explain my behavior?
This
I know.
motherfucker, the other day, his episode, he was telling Cyrus that he's afraid to leave his house because the black women will come get him.
Are you serious?
No.
You told Cyrus that? You just told me you called him a white nigger.
I
Are you
don't
serious,
tell Tyler.
Matthew?
Don't tell Tyler that.
Afraid to leave his house because the black
No,
women
he
will
said
get
some
him?
stupid ass Matthew shit. He was saying like black women are like aggressive in a white man kind of way. And he's scared to leave his house because there's black women outside that'll get him.
Matthew.
Oh my God.
Matthew.
I said black. I said black women are more like a white man than a white woman.
No.
I love you.
No.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
In a cultural way, black women have more in common with a white man than a white woman. I believe that. That's one of my beliefs.
No.
I love you.
This is my serious voice right here.
We got 300. How many days we got? We're at like 360 days till he's a 40-year-old virgin.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a virgin, but I'm gonna try to have a girlfriend by them.
You're still gonna be a virgin. It won't
Okay,
change
okay,
that.
okay,
You'll be a virgin.
okay. I'm gonna get an international girlfriend. I love you. When a woman is fond of you, that's confirmation that you're desirable.
I love this guy, Matthew.
Yeah.
This is for your doctor. Yeah, Matthew has schizophrenia. He has 11 cases of it, 11 levels of schizophrenia, and this is just like 5 of them that he's going through right now.
Yeah.
So, doctor, thank you.
Yeah.
Matthew's medication.
I've demonstrated 5 phases of schizophrenia.
Personalities. That's what he got.
Tyler, I'm making a documentation series about my schizophrenia.
He was talking like a woman.
He's making a documentary.
I'm making a documentary series. I'm making a show on YouTube.
Matthew's making a documentary of his interactions with people.
It's with you. I'm making it right now. I'm recording right now.
Documentary?
I'm recording right now. I made the first episode right before you got on. I ended it.
God, I'm in the dark, and you can't see me.
Love you. This is the cows come home.
Matthew has severe schizophrenia and suffers from the homosexuality disorder.
I'm not gay. I'm just like very idealistic about what love is supposed to be.
Matthew definitely.
He's not gay. He just thinks boys are attractive.
I don't think boys are attractive. I can recognize when I feel something would be desirable to a woman.
What's this thing about a black woman? Why is he so scared?
It's like
Puts things in his butt. He puts the little glass dildos in his butt.
You should, for your documentary, you should whip out your glass dildo.
Yeah, show the documentary your glass dildos, Matthew.
Oh my God.
Matthew, an ass plug.
Well, maybe in a future
Show
episode.
the documentary, the Pentecostal pillows, and the flat Earth butt plug, and all
Maybe
that
in a future episode. The pillow is
stuff. If
back
Matthew,
there.
don't show the documentary, this I'm kicking you off to rate the facts.
I want Matthew to document everything about himself and everything we think about him.
Yeah, I'm trying to get you to.
His mom got him a little selfie stick, so now you can go make a documentary on it.
One of the key points of this documentary series is that you know me more than my parents. You know me better than my parents.
Is amazing, Matthew.
You guys knowing me better than my parents is one of the key. Like you know me better than anyone else in the world.
Like if he's talking to a human being by the neck.
Yes. What, Antonio?
No, nothing.
Nothing.
Don't mind us. Don't mind us at all.
I didn't hear what it was. It was like a joke, but I just want to know what it was. I didn't know if it was important for me to hear it or not.
You'll hear what it is when you watch your documentary.
Oh yeah, when I watch it back, I'll hear it.
Yeah.
Oh no, my God.
Just make sure you watch it. After you edit it, you'll watch it.
Matthew is a 39-year-old virgin, and he's approaching 40.
I'm still gonna be a virgin.
This is the epic 360-day journey.
But think about if I can turn this into legendary. I'm planning on turning myself legendary. What do you think legendary would be like?
We can't have him grow up and be
What do you think legendary would be like?
Listen, that'll take a toll on his brain.
If I go from virgin to legendary, what do you think that would be like?
What is legendary? Define legendary.
Well, like something that's like number one, it's so cool, everybody loves it, like the colloquial definition. And number two, is remembered 1,000 years from now.
Matthew.
9,000.
Matthew.
Yeah, I was listening, but I was pointing at the camera.
Earth to Matthew.
Yes.
Did you ever use the 5 fingers of death?
The what?
The 5 fingers of death.
I never punched somebody.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Use your mind and your imagination. The 5 fingers of death. Have you ever used them?
My mind and my imagination? What do you mean?
Use your imagination. Listen to what I'm telling you. Have you ever used the 5 fingers of death?
You mean put my hand in a woman's vagina?
No, Matthew. We know you haven't done that.
No, that's for sure.
What's the 5 fingers of death?
Did you want to tell him, Rebay? Those are the 5 fingers of death. See what Rebay's showing you?
Ray, but did you tell Antonio something dirty?
Look, Matthew, that's what it is.
Oh, masturbation. Yes, I masturbate. Yes, I masturbate. Yes, I masturbate. I masturbate, but I have imaginary girlfriends. Okay, I think about I think about serious crushes. I love this woman, but I know her from I love you online way. Like I've seen her live, but I care more about her personality and else. Like I want to think about 2 women when I masturbate regularly. For random reason, I got aroused by someone different. That I love you. I flirted with her, and I thought I got hard.
Matthew, you know that's a sin, right?
No, wait a second. It's wrong. It's wrong on some levels, but if a woman is like thinks I'm cool, I love you. And if it's like,
That was good.
I love you. If it's not, if I'm trying to say what would be a sin, yeah. I love you.
Listen, this is sin, not the masturbation part, but the part you're thinking about that you got 2 women. Not good.
Oh, thinking about 2 different women at the same time.
Yes, thinking about it is a sin.
No,
You know
but
what they call that?
if I only thought of one woman in a masturbatory way, would that not be a sin?
That's still a sin because you're
Say in a masculine way.
Masturbatory. I said flushed. I love you. And if I only thought of one woman in a masturbatory way, would that be sin?
yes. Because what you're doing is like let me put it this way. It's like if I see somebody else's wife and I be thinking about her. What do you call that?
I told the woman that I think about that I would marry her. I have a lot of her porn. I told her that I would marry her, but I'm saying I'm not trying to marry you anymore. I told her I'm not trying to marry her anymore.
What do you call that, Ribe?
Coveting.
She told me.
Covet.
She told everyone. She told us in the cam and the live stream that she doesn't believe in boyfriends.
Yeah, you're desiring somebody that belongs to somebody else.
I was gonna make her believe in boyfriends. I was gonna make her believe in love.
It's not adultery, but it's
Believe in monogamy. I was gonna make her.
Yearn to possess.
No,
or have.
I'm sorry. I love you.
Right.
Thank God.
And they use another word or another term for it, biblically.
But the girl I was thinking about only has one man, but she said it's not her boyfriend.
See, you can't desire something or think about something you want to desire because it's a sin.
Does desire mean I would, or desire mean because I don't desire
Desire, meaning you want someone, not just one person, but 2 people. If you can't do it with this one, you do it with that one.
No, if I can't marry this woman, I already decided I cannot marry this woman because I realize how the personality does not go good together. But love you. If you say I love you, oh my God. If you say I would marry you, what do you say? I would marry you, and it's not a lot of people. It's like a list very small of love you people that like. But it's respectable people. It's very respectable people. Like the girl whose porn I look at only has like 1 man. No, I know, man. And she said she doesn't believe in boyfriends, but I know she has like 1 man. I'm convinced of that. Because she'll argue that. She will argue that, and also like she's a dorky girl that used to be shy like me. I relate to her story.
Matthew, you see what you did to Taylor? You put him to sleep.
Tyler, you sleeping? Tyler, you have to talk about my schizophrenia. Tyler, you have to talk about my schizophrenia.
No, you put him to sleep. You didn't give him a chance to talk.
Oh my God, are you sleeping, Tyler?
He's knocked out. Look at him.
Well, this episode is going to be continued on a later date. I'm just going to keep the clip. Okay, he's sleeping right now. We need to finish the episode later. I'm sorry, I'm just... Affection, I love you.
Doesn't end. Yes, it goes on and on, my friend. Some people started singing it, not knowing what it was, and they'll continue singing it forever just because that's a song that doesn't end. That doesn't end. Yes, it goes on and on, my friend. Some people started singing it, not knowing what it was, and they'll continue singing it forever just because that's a song that doesn't end. Doesn't end. Yes, it goes on and on, my friend. Some people started singing it, not knowing what it was, and they'll continue singing it forever just because that's a song that doesn't end. Doesn't end. Yes, it goes on and on, my friend. Some people started singing it, not knowing what it was, and they'll continue singing it forever just because that's a song that doesn't end. Doesn't end. Yes, it goes on and on, my friend. Some people started singing it, not knowing what it was, and they'll continue singing it forever just because that's just a song that doesn't end, doesn't end. Yes, it goes on and on, my friend. Some people started singing it, not knowing what it was, and they'll continue singing it forever just because that's just a song that doesn't end, doesn't end. Yes, it goes on and on, my friend. Some people started singing it, not knowing what it was, and they'll continue singing it forever just because that's just a song that doesn't end.
I need someone to care for me forever, to make me feel secure when we're